What's up guys, welcome to part 2 of our time tutorial. In this video we'll be further customizing what we have started in part 1. So let's dive straight into it. So let's continue where we last ended. In part 1 we ended by customizing our watch. We set the background, we set it to black, the color to white, which is the font color. We set the width and height to 250 and 50 pixels respectively. And then we increased the size of the font to 38 pixels, and then we centered the text in the div. As you can see, this is where we last left off. And then we created a function called display time. In this function we declared 3 variables. The first one is hours, which gets the current system time in terms of hours, the next one in terms of minutes, and the last one in terms of seconds. And lastly, we declared a variable called time, in which we joined the 3 variables that we declared separated by a colon. So this will be saved in the time variable. Next, we gained access using this JavaScript to gain access to this div. Now we set the inner text, which is this, to the time that we defined here. Lastly, we used the set interval, which is a timer function which calls a specific method that we specified here every 100 milliseconds. So in our case, we're going to call the display time function every 100 milliseconds. So let's continue from there. So we're going to say hour is equal to hour divided by 12. That's how we're going to convert from a 24-hour clock to a 12-hour clock. So what happens when the time is equal to 0? We don't want to display 0 for our 12-hour clock. We'd rather display 12 instead of 0. So the next step is we're going to say hour is equal to, so we're going to use the short if statement, saying that if hour is equal to 0, we're going to change that and say then hour will be 12, else hour should be equal to hour. So this is a short if statement. If you're not familiar with the short if statement, what happens here is, so here we specify the condition, here we specify what should happen if the condition is true, here we specify what should happen when the condition is false, and the result of either this or that will be equated here. So if you don't prefer using this type of if statement, you can always use the other one. So the next thing that we're going to do is we need to display the leading 0 for minutes and also the leading 0 for seconds. We're also going to use a short if statement for both. So we're going to say minutes is equal to, if minutes are less than 10, then we want to display a leading 0. So if it's less than 10, put a 0 in front of the minutes, else just return the minutes as they are. Next, we're going to do the same for seconds. So you're going to say seconds is equal to, if seconds are less than 10, then it should display a leading 0 in front of the seconds, or if it's greater than 10, then it should return the seconds as they are. So let's check if this really works. Let's refresh, and we haven't changed much. Let's just wait for the seconds to go back down to 1 or 2 and see if the leading 0, if the leading 0 will be displayed. And unfortunately it doesn't. So let's go back to the code. One mistake that we made here is that we need to now move this timer to after this, so that after it sets these variables, it updates this timer variable. So let's go back to the browser. So let's see if this works. Let's refresh. Oh snap. So we made a huge mistake. Let's go back and sort of fix this. If you look here, we said hours divided by 12, which does not make sense at all. So if hours is equal to 1, it's going to say 1 divided by 12, then it's going to give us a remainder. So to solve this problem, instead of using divide, we use modulus. So with modulus, what modulus does is, when the hours is equal to 11, it's going to say 11 modulus 12. Now we know that we cannot divide 11 by 12, so it's going to bring back 11. When the time is more than 12, for instance, the time is 15. Now 15 modulus 12, we know that 15 is divisible by 12, meaning it will go once, and the remainder will be 3. So it's going to return 3, converting 15 to 3. So that's how it works. So by simply saying hour modulus 12, this is going to convert our 24-hour clock into our 12-hour clock. If we go back to the browser and refresh, now you see that our 24-hour clock has been converted to our 12-hour clock. Now obviously it's 11 a.m. in the morning. You can only see if this really works after 12. The last thing that we need to add is AM or PM. So we're going to declare a variable here called M, and we're going to equate it to, we're going to say, we're going to do another shorthand if statement saying if hours are bigger or equal to 12, then it should return PM. So if it's after 12, we're going to return PM. But if it's before 12, we're going to return AM. And we're simply going to add this variable here. When we display, we're going to separate it using a space, and we're going to say M, our variable M. And now when we refresh here, nothing happens. Let's go back to the code and fix. If you notice there, we did not enter a plus. We need to enter the plus there so that we can concatenate this. And now when we refresh, boom, we have our AM there. And if you see in front of the seconds, we have our leading 0. We've come to the end of the road of this fun tutorial. I hope you did have as much fun as I did, and I hope you learned a lot, and do check out our website for more fun tutorials.